John, I brought you here to show you my greatest creation yet.
I recently got the opportunity to make art for a new trading card game called Battle of the Crystal Kingdoms, and I'm going to show you all how I made the different cards for this game. This was the first time I was able to make art for a client's product, and I got so excited to find out that my art will be seen by many who purchase cards from the game. I want to first give a personal shout out to Battle of the Crystal Kingdoms for allowing me to help build this game with my art and hopefully spread attention to this. I hope that this video can also inspire you to check out the game. It is currently being made by a bunch of talented people, and I hope to grow so much more into something so much bigger. I'll leave a link in the description of the video to their website so you can check out the cards, the rules, and more. All right, so anyways, now it's time to show you what I made. You might be wondering how I got this gig. Well, it's time to do a little bit of storytelling about that. So it started off a few years ago when I met the card games creator who also happened to be working on a feature-length movie. And I got an email from a professor at the time who mentioned this guy looking for an intern to help with some of the editing. And so me being someone who wanted to get as much experience as possible in movies, I accepted and replied to that email as soon as I could. I would literally say within the hour. After that whole internship happened, guess what? I was asked about what I was doing in university. So I told him, hey, I animate, and I showed him one of the student projects I was making. The guy liked it, and he then asked me, hey, you want to make an animation for the movie that you helped edit? And I got so stoked. And having researched this guy has made films that have won awards in a lot of different film festivals around the country. Yeah, he saw it, he liked it, and then later down the road, by the time when he released the movie and I got to release my film Shogun with a Shotgun, by the way, check out the film. It's a really good film. I'm totally not promoting myself in this video. Go watch the video. After Shogun with a Shotgun released, go check out the film. And his film released, I got to see my work on the big screen for the first time. It was so amazing. Later down the road, it seemed like he was starting to put more effort into a card game that I wasn't too much invested in at the time, didn't know. He hits me up on the phone saying, hey, you want to make card art for this game? I like the art style you did in your film. Could you do it for a trading card? And I thought, that's cool. So I did. He says, all right, he sends me this document with a bunch of different cards on it, sent me about 6. And he said, all right, here's the references, here's the guidelines, have fun, just make sure you follow the guidelines. So now I'm going to cut to the recording that I did for looking over the cards and making the art. So rewind. This is how I made the cards. All right, so this is some of the cards that he sent me right here. He did make some AI prompts for this, so he wanted to make it as a guideline. I will say so far the cards have a good look to them. So the first one is green emerald. So it seems like he wants to, it doesn't need to be floating in the middle of the tomb. He wants it floating somewhere, and he wants to keep the shape and the color. That seems easy. I'm thinking something like ruins, maybe in the cave, since it's a crystal of some kind, gemstone. Have it float, and maybe in like an underground ruins kind of thing. Okay, I think I know exactly what we're doing. So I'm here in Toon Boom Harmony. I'm just gonna make the art in here. It's funny because when I was doing things like Art Fight and other digital drawing related things, I used an animation software and a VFX software to make the photos. It's funny how artists of all kinds use different methods. In this case, I make art using video software.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Kind of keep it simple, more similar to the reference that he gave, because I thought it looked fine. It's just I'm going to put my own twist to it. I'm just going to fast forward and just go to a part where, yeah, let's just speed over to another important part here. Okay, so I'm now doing line art for the green emerald. And as you see, the sketch is floating and has some shards floating around it. I have some little pillars. And what I'm doing is I'm going to put a bunch of different shades of green to make the material look more glassy, more crystally.
A few moments later.
There we go. Looks pretty good so far. As you can see, I use different layers. So one's on the front, there's a middle layer, and then there's a back layer, like this one. Using different shades, different brushes, textures. And what I'm trying to do with the pillars and the rocks is what I'm going to do is not only am I going to try and add some textures to the environment by hand, but I'm going to see if I can use some textures online of rocks and other granite and maybe some quartz to make the textures look a bit more realistic, I guess. Alright, so what I just did is I just put in a little gradient effect on the pillars. I'm just going to leave a quartz pillar kind of texture in the composite because I think that would just do enough. Meanwhile, texture brush on the rocks. And what I'm going to do is also I'm going to reuse some assets that I used in previous drawings that are already rocks. And I'm just going to pop them in the back.
How long is this going to take?
We are here in After Effects, and I'm going to be doing all the lighting and coloring and texturing in this art. So like I said, I'm going to reuse assets that go in the black area back there to make it more of a deep looking cave. But in the meantime, I'm going to take the green emerald. I'm going to give it some glow, some other glass and light effects on it just to make it look mystical. And then I'm going to add some texture. So let's just fast forward to that. Okay, so added that green light rays, holy light kind of effect to the emerald. I'm going to do that to the extra shards around it. And I'm going to add a glass effect to the emerald. Okay, so now I'm going to, what I'm doing is I am masking out duplicates of the layers for the rocks. And those duplicates I have a bit overexposed, a bit more green, just to show a light. I mean, it looks fine right now. It probably needs a little bit more work. Let's keep lighting up the other rocks first. We'll give them extra shadows and do some extra color correcting. See how it looks. Okay, I think it looks fine right now. We'll put some final touches on it later. Now to move on to texturing. So I found this rock online, and what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna link it to the layer, the rock layer. I take the rock and use its texture and turn it into an overlay effect. Okay, doesn't look so bad so far. I also found a little mountains PNG and turn that into some other rocks. And then I am going to put in some dust too. Take this dust, remove the black, just set it to screen. Where is it? There it is. And it's just a simple dust texture that it's just a subtle thing to add. Makes it look more lively, I guess. Like I said earlier, I'm bringing in some other assets that I use in other drawings that were also rocks. I'm just going to pop them in the back and use them, change their colors. All right, so that's done. I'm now just going to color correct everything. And I think the drawing is pretty much done. Okay, some final touches that I wanted to do. I want to add some dust falling during this little scene. Maybe it could mean like the emerald is overcharging on magical power and it's kind of shaking the cave. And it's just, again, finding assets online that you could use. I do this all the time. It really helps the drawings out. All right, I think the drawing's done. I'll be honest, that's actually pretty good for a first card. I realized that I did not have enough time to voice over and draw and then make a time lapse and do more voiceover for it. So I'm just gonna make a full time lapse and just voice over the time lapse just to make it go by quicker for you. All right, on to the next card. Okay, so the next one is Virtue Stone. Oh, okay, so it's basically an item that makes the creatures more powerful. You know, as a Magic the Gathering player, it's really cool to kind of understand what these cards are able to do. Okay, so I thought maybe if we could put some characters in these cards using the stones, that would be really cool. Yeah, it's like, so for example, we could put one of the dragon characters from the card game holding the Virtue Stone, and then maybe Serenity Stone, which is more like the weakening stone. Okay, so I'm gonna do that with the Virtue Stone. So it appears that this ability that it has is to make the creature's power doubled. I will say the most of these cards that I'm designing are items that you can use in the game, so I haven't really been given a card of a creature yet, although I would like to make a creature card, Crystal Kingdoms. I would like to do that. Hit me up for another batch. But yeah, this kind of reminds me of something from Magic the Gathering where it's a artifact card that is an Anthem ability. For those of you who don't know, Anthem abilities are just abilities that buff creatures all around the board. Since the Virtue Stone since the Virtue Stone boosts the strength, I want to incorporate the character because he looks more strong and powerful. And I thought it would be cool to have this character hold the stone up to the viewer while he looks at the glow. I think it turned out okay, but it could use some more work. I could use some more practice. But another thing you got to know, guys, is that you show your client something and they like it, and you think, oh, there could be stuff changed, there could be stuff to be improved, then what does it matter if the client likes it? I will say this turned out a lot better than the Emerald. Personally, I think it looks a lot better than the Emerald because of the dragon. So Serenity Stone is next. He likes the ethereal feel of the AI artwork, so keep that in mind. Stone must be purple. Have fun. Okay, so this has more creative leeway I can do with it. I'm thinking maybe having... there's this one character in his card game called Entity, and it's basically a ghost. I think it'd be really cool to have a ghost shrouding through this stone or something. What's cool about this stone is that it has the ability to force creatures to use their weakest move. Now, according to the game, there is multiple attacks that a creature can have, and when you declare attacks, you roll dice, and dependent on what number you roll determines what ability you can use. So yeah, so this had a different texture than the Virtue Stone and Emerald. It wasn't glassy or shiny. It was a lot more rigid and rocky compared to a gem. So also had another character interacting with it, like I said, Entity. It really helped this Serenity Stone feel the way it felt with its ability, forcing creatures to use their weakest move. And I felt like a darker creature character could use this. I am curious about the backstory of this ghost creature. It's very ominous, very mysterious to me. Yeah, so the texture of this stone, I was using a lot of different texture assets you find online, and what's even funny, I used a plastic effect for this. Plastic effect made it look more rocky. It's interesting how it works. It's interesting. And then I put in some blurs and other color effects to enhance the background around the item. Did some focus and other blurs to put that entity creature behind it, as if it is about to grab the rock while it's floating. Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's pretty good. Okay, so next one is the Mystical Forest. Needs a jack-o'-lantern floating through the forest. Feel free to have some creative freedom with this one. Okay, so he wants basically a jack-o'-lantern. That seems okay. That seems fine. Okay, I have an idea. I'm gonna keep this next one short and sweet. It's kind of straightforward. He wanted a jack-o'-lantern floating in a forest that is on fire. I mean, very simple. So I'm drawing a jack-o'-lantern that fire's coming out of its face and it's floating in the woods. Now, I will say I'm going to add more jack-o'-lanterns in to the scene and showing that this mystical forest is full of these kinds of jack-o'-lanterns. It's just this jack-o'-lantern specifically is more, I don't know, manifesting its power. Since he allowed me to have some more creative leeway with this card, I also decided to use a lot more PNG assets for the background specifically, because I was using things like vines. I even was able to find an effect of fireflies, so that would make it look more lively. And then other trees in the background that are very much blurred out. And then the tree stumps on the sides, I put bark textures, and then rocks, I put rock textures, and then bushes. I actually had a lot more fun with the bushes, doing a lot of different greens and other texture brushes for this. And then just for good measure, I found a leaf texture. I put the leaf textures on the bushes and turned out pretty good. I say this is probably the more stronger cards visually in this little collection that I'm making. All right, now Cry of the Banshees. Just want a faceless ghost amongst tombstones. And this says, okay, so again, he has the AI artwork for reference, but I'm gonna be real with you. The only thing that's kind of gonna look similar in my art is probably the emerald. On to making the art. So basically this card protects medallion cards in play, and it's a tax. So if you want to remove one of the medallions from your opponent's from your opponent's board, you'd have to pay 2 crystals to remove the Banshee card. I feel like the crystals are the mana, the currency in this game. So since they wanted a Banshee to float through a graveyard, I was just going to do that. Another thing I was going to do with this card is tell a little bit of a story with this. Since the rules text says that this protects medallions, I was thinking about having the Banshee hold a medallion in her hand as a way to protect it in this graveyard. This was a bit difficult to make the Banshee look like a freaking ghost kind of character, but I was using a lot of different glows and transparencies. I even masked out the eyes and mouth and did a intense light coming from them, so that would make it more paranormal. I will say this was fun to make. If given some other details, it could have been made a lot better. But again, show it to your client. Your client says, that's perfect, I like it. Okay, you don't need to do anything else. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so this last card wasn't in the collection because this was actually the first card that I was sent by my client to test me out. So the Red Sun is basically, this card allows a player to play a synergy creature by looking in their deck for the 2 creatures needed to summon it. So basically synergy creatures, you find 2 creatures that can basically combine, morph with each other, and create a bigger, more powerful creature. I'm thinking it's like Meld in Magic the Gathering. But one thing specifically, yes, he asked me to make this card a Japanese canvas style. And that's what I'm doing. I used a reference for that tsunami painting, that very famous tsunami painting. So yeah, this card was be painted Japanese painting style. And since I had recently made a film that uses that kind of style, Shogun with a Shotgun, go check out the film. Okay. By the way, I'm currently writing the next script for my film, so I might make a video that addresses that later. Anyways, after the drawing, I put the sketches into After Effects and used its many different effects to composite the art to make it look better. I didn't really put any textures in there because I didn't think I needed it. All right, I think this is my favorite card. I think that's my favorite card. It has some intensity to it, but down into the middle of the card with the bright red sun, I mean, it looks calming for some reason. All right, I think that's it. I was able to make a bunch of different cards. All right, that will do it. That is the first time I've ever made art for a new card game, Battle of the Crystal Kingdoms. I'm gonna be honest with you, I had a lot of fun making all of this art for all these different cards, and really, I would love to continue doing this. Shout out to Crystal Kingdoms again for allowing me to make art for this card game. If you like the video, there's a like button. Make sure you hit it. Also, if you're new to this channel and you like this kind of content, hit subscribe because you can find more videos like this coming in the near future. Also, may or may not be seeing a new update about my next movie. Stay tuned for that. Again, I hope you are having a good day. If not, I pray that this video helps your day get a bit better. Now, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!